Nurse Adanna stood in the bright hospital hallway with her arms crossed tight against her chest. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. In front of her, Chief Obiagu was screaming so loud that spit flew from his mouth. "You will treat my wife now!" he shouted, shaking his fist at her face. Behind him, his wife Chioma lay on the hospital bed, not moving. Her beautiful face looked peaceful, like she was just sleeping. But Adanna knew better. She knew something nobody else knew. Something that made her stomach twist into knots. "I cannot touch her," Adanna said quietly. Her voice was shaking, but her feet stayed planted on the floor like tree roots. The chief's eyes went wide with rage. He pulled out his fat leather wallet and threw money at her. Green naira notes scattered across the shiny hospital floor like leaves in the wind. Some of the other nurses gasped. That was more money than Adanna made in 6 months. "Pick it up and treat my wife," Chief Obiagu screamed. Adanna looked at the money on the floor. She thought about her small room where the roof leaked when it rained. She thought about her mother in the village who needed medicine. She thought about how tired she was of being poor. But then she looked at Chioma's still face and she remembered something else. She remembered another girl. A girl named Ngozi had died 3 months ago in this same hospital. A girl whose eyes had been filled with so much fear. "No," Adanna whispered. Then louder, "No, I will not do it." The chief's face turned purple like an angry yam. He pulled out his phone and pointed it at her face. The camera light blinked red. "Look at this wicked nurse," he shouted into his phone. "My wife is dying and she refuses to help. I am going to make sure everyone in Nigeria sees what a heartless woman you are. You will never walk again." The other hospital workers started whispering. Some of them looked at Adanna like she had lost her mind. Dr. Chukwu, the oldest doctor, shook his head sadly. 2 younger nurses quickly went to Chioma's bedside to help her instead. Adanna felt tears burn behind her eyes, but she would not let them fall. "Not yet, not here. If you knew what I know," she said to the chief, "you would be thanking me right now instead of cursing me." "Thanking you?" The chief laughed, but it was not a happy sound. It was cold and mean like a snake's hiss. "You are mad, completely mad. Security, throw this woman out." 2 big security guards in blue uniforms started walking toward Adanna. Their heavy boots made loud sounds on the floor. Boom, boom. But before they could reach her, Adanna spoke again. "Ask your wife how she feels after every time Dr. Azuka gives her medicine," Adanna said clearly. "Ask her if she gets better or worse." The chief froze. Something flashed across his face. Was it a surprise? Fear? It was gone so fast that Adanna almost thought she had imagined it. "What are you talking about?" he growled. "I am talking about the truth," Adanna said. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her head from long ago. "A healer must have clean hands, child. Clean hands and a pure heart. If you use your hands to help evil, even by accident, you become part of that evil." Where are you watching from right now? Drop your country in the comments. And if you want to know what Adanna discovered, you'd better subscribe to this channel because this story is about to get crazy. The chief's video started spreading on the internet like wildfire. Within 1 hour, 50,000 people had watched it. Within 2 hours, 200,000. By evening, the whole country was talking about the nurse who refused to treat a rich man's dying wife. On Twitter, people were angry. "Fire the heartless nurse," they typed with furious fingers. "She should lose her license. This is why our hospitals are useless." But some people were asking questions. Why would a nurse refuse? One woman wrote, "There must be more to this story." And that woman was right. There was so much more. Adanna sat in the hospital locker room with her head in her hands. She had been suspended. The hospital director, Dr. Olumide, had called her into his office and told her she could not work until they investigated what had happened. His face had been disappointed and sad. "I trained you myself, Adanna. he had said. Why would you do this? Why would you refuse to help someone? She had wanted to tell him everything, but the words stuck in her throat like bones. How could she explain about Ngozi? About the other women? About the terrible secret she had discovered? Now she sat alone, listening to the other nurses whisper about her in the hallway. She could hear their words clearly. She has always been strange. Too proud, that one. Now she has destroyed her own life for nothing. Adanna closed her eyes and let herself remember. Remember Ngozi. 3 months ago, Ngozi had come to the hospital late at night. She was so thin that her bones showed through her skin like sticks. Her eyes were huge and frightened, like a small animal being hunted. Please, Ngozi had whispered to Adanna. Please help me. I am so scared. Scared of what? Adanna had asked gently, holding Ngozi's shaking hand. But before Ngozi could answer, her body had started shaking. Her eyes rolled back white. Foam came from her mouth. Adanna had called for help, and they had tried everything to save her. But it was too late. Ngozi died right there on the hospital bed, her hands still gripping Adanna's fingers. The official report said, heart failure, natural causes. But Adanna could not forget Ngozi's terrified eyes. She could not forget the bruises on her arms that looked like finger marks. She could not forget the way Ngozi had whispered, he is killing her, just like he killed the others. Who was killing whom? Adanna had to know. So she started searching. Late at night, when everyone else went home, Adanna stayed at the hospital and looked through old files. The dusty records room became her secret place. And there, in those yellowing papers, she found the truths that made her blood run cold. Chief Obiagu had been married 4 times before Chioma. 4 times. And all 4 of those wives were dead. All of them had died young. All of them had been treated by the same doctor, Dr. Azuka. The first wife, Amara, died at 23. Heart failure, the report said. The second wife, Blessing, died at 25. Kidney problems, they wrote. The third wife, Patience, died at 24. Liver disease. The fourth wife, Grace, died at 26. Complications from malaria treatment. 4 young women, 4 deaths. 4 times, Chief Obiagu inherited their family land through the traditional marriage contracts. Each death made him richer and richer. And now Chioma, wife number 5, was sick with the same symptoms. The same doctor was treating her, and Chief Obiagu would become even richer when she died. If you are enjoying this story, smash that like button. Share this with someone who loves true Nigerian stories. Let's get to 10,000 likes. Adanna's phone burst in her pocket. She pulled it out with trembling fingers. The screen was full of notifications, messages, emails, tags on social media. Everyone was talking about her. But one message caught her eye. It was from an unknown number. Nurse Adanna, my name is Comfort. I used to work for Chief Obiagu too. Just like Ngozi, I saw things, terrible things. I have been too scared to speak, but after seeing your video, I want to tell the truth. Can we meet? Adanna's heart started beating faster. She quickly typed back, yes, tell me everything. They met in a small restaurant far from the hospital. Comfort was a young woman about Adanna's age, but her eyes looked much older, tired, scared. I worked in Chief Obiagu's house for 2 years. Comfort said in a low voice, looking around to make sure nobody was listening. I cooked, I cleaned, I served the food, and I saw things I wish I could forget. What things? Adanna asked, leaning closer. Comfort's hands shook as she spoke. Every morning, Dr. Azuka would come to the house. He would give Madam Chioma her medicine. Pretty pink pills in a gold container. He said they were vitamins to make her strong and healthy. But Adanna, I saw the chief adding white powder to those pills when Dr. Azuka was not looking. I saw him do it many times. Did you tell anyone? Adanna whispered. Comfort's eyes filled with tears. I told Ngozi she was my friend. She said she would report it, and then her voice broke. Then she got sick and died. After that, I was too scared. The chief paid me a lot of money to live quietly and never speak about what I saw. But when I saw your video, when I saw you standing up to him, I knew I had to be brave too. Adanna reached across the table and held Comfort's hand. We are going to stop him. Together. But how? The chief was powerful. He had money, connections, and friends in the police who would believe two young women against a man like him. That night, something amazing happened. A blogger called Freedom Voice posted a long article on the internet. The article was called The Wives Who Disappeared, Chief Obiagu's Deadly Secrets. The article had everything: copies of death certificates, interviews with family members of the dead wives who had been asking questions for years, land transfer documents showing how the chief had taken over valuable property after each death, and at the end, there was a photo of Dr. Azuka shaking hands with Chief Obiagu at a fancy party, both men smiling widely. The article went viral. 10 million views in one night, 20 million by morning. Suddenly, everyone was talking not about the heartless nurse, but about the chief who might be a murderer. The police came to the hospital, not for Adanna, for Dr. Azuka. They found him in his office, packing his bags. He had been trying to run away. I did not know, he shouted as they put handcuffs on his wrists. The chief told me the medicine was to help her. I am a doctor, not a killer. But when they searched his office, they found bottles of poison hidden in a locked drawer. They found bank records showing huge payments from Chief Obiagu. They found everything they needed. Meanwhile, at the hospital, other doctors were testing Chioma's blood. What they found made them sick to their stomachs. Arsenic, a deadly poison that kills slowly, making it look like a natural illness. Someone had been poisoning her for months. Are you still watching? Comment yes if you want to see justice. And subscribe so you never miss the ending of this incredible story. Chioma woke up 2 days later. The poison was slowly leaving her body. When she opened her eyes and saw nurses around her bed, she started crying. Where is my husband? She asked weakly. The police officer standing by her door stepped forward. Madam, your husband has been arrested. We need to ask you some questions. Chioma's face went pale. Arrested? Why? Did you know that your medicine was poisoning you? The officer asked gently. Chioma started shaking her head back and forth. No, that is not possible. My husband loves me. Dr. Azuka said the medicine will help me get pregnant. We have been trying for a baby for 2 years. But as the officer explained everything, Chioma's face changed. Horror, then understanding, then a deep, terrible sadness. The headaches, she whispered, the shaking, the pain in my stomach. Every time I took the medicine, I felt worse. But they said it was normal. They said my body was adjusting. Tears rolled down her cheeks. He was killing me. My own husband was killing me. The officer nodded sadly. We believe so, yes. And if it were not for Nurse Adanna refusing to treat you, you might have died. She saved your life. Chioma's eyes went wide. The nurse everyone was calling heartless? She knew. She suspected, and she was brave enough to say no even when everyone turned against her. Chioma covered her face with her hands and sobbed. I want to see her. I must thank her. When Adanna walked into Chioma's hospital room, she did not know what to expect. But Chioma reached out her thin arms and pulled Adanna into a hug. You saved me, Chioma cried. You saved my life when you refused to touch me. How can I ever thank you? Adanna hugged her back, tears finally falling from her own eyes. I did what my grandmother taught me. A healer must have clean hands. I could not let my hands be used for evil, even if I did not know it. I could not be the one to give you the poison that would kill you. They cried together. Two women who had never met before, but whose lives were now tied together forever. Outside the hospital, reporters crowded around the entrance like ants. Everyone wanted to talk to Adanna. Everyone wanted to know how she knew. Everyone wanted her story. But Adanna did not go out there. Not yet. First, she had somewhere else to be. She took a bus back to her village. The road was bumpy and dusty. Chickens and goats scattered as the bus rumbled past small houses with tin roofs. When she got to her village, the sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Adanna walked to the small cemetery on the hill. There, under an old mango tree, was her grandmother's grave. The stone was simple, with just her name and date. But to Adanna, it was the most important place in the world. She sat down on the ground beside the grave and spoke like her grandmother could hear her. "Mama, you were right about everything," Adanna said softly. "You told me that healing is sacred, that our hands carry power, that we must be careful how we use that power. Today I finally understood what you meant." The wind blew through the mango tree, rustling the leaves. It almost sounded like her grandmother's gentle laugh. "4 women died because someone used their healing hands for evil," Adanna continued. "But I stopped it from being 5. I stopped it because of you, because of what you taught me." She placed fresh flowers on the grave. Bright yellow sunflowers, her grandmother's favorite. "Everyone thought I was crazy, mean, heartless, but you taught me that sometimes doing the right thing means everyone will hate you. You taught me that truth is more important than being liked." Adanna stood up and wiped her tears. The sunset made everything golden and beautiful. In the distance, she could hear children playing and women calling them home for dinner. Normal village sounds, peaceful sounds. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from the hospital director, Dr. Olumide. "Adanna, please come back. We need you. I am sorry I doubted you. You are the bravest nurse I have ever known." More messages came, from other nurses apologizing, from patients thanking her, from news channels wanting interviews. The president of the Nurses Association invited her to speak at their conference. The hashtag had changed from number heartless nurse to number brave nurse. Her refusal video now had 40 million views. People were calling her a hero, a warrior, a woman of integrity. But Adanna did not care about any of that. She cared that one woman was alive. One woman would go home to her family. One woman would have a chance to find real love, to have children, to live the life she deserved. That was enough. Are you crying right now? Hit that like button if this story touched your heart. And make sure you are subscribed because we share real African stories that need to be heard. Chief Obiagu and Dr. Azuka went to prison. Their trial was big news all over Nigeria. Every day, people filled the courtroom to watch. The families of the 4 dead wives finally got justice. Their stories were finally heard. Their deaths were finally being investigated properly. During the trial, more secrets came out. Dr. Azuka confessed everything. He said the chief had paid him millions of naira over the years. All he had to do was slowly poison the wives and then sign the death certificate, saying they died of natural causes. He said he never meant to hurt anyone, he just needed the money. But the judge did not care about his excuses. "You are a doctor," the judge said sternly, banging his gavel. "People trusted you with their lives. You betrayed that trust in the worst way possible. You are a disgrace to your profession." Dr. Azuka got 20 years in prison. Chief Obiagu got life. They took him away in chains, screaming that it was not fair, that he was innocent, that everyone was lying about him. But nobody believed him anymore. The truth had come out. And truth, as Adanna's grandmother used to say, is like the sun. You can cover it for a while, but it always comes out eventually. Chioma divorced Chief Obiagu. She took back her family's land that he had been planning to steal. She also started a foundation to help women escape dangerous marriages. She called it the Ngozi Foundation, named after the young woman whose warning had started everything. And Adanna? She went back to work at the hospital. But now, when she walked through the halls in her white uniform, People looked at her differently, with respect, with admiration, with hope. Young nurses would stop her and ask, "How did you know to refuse? How did you have the courage?" And Adanna would smile and say, "My grandmother taught me that healing is sacred. She taught me to trust my instincts. She taught me that clean hands are more valuable than a full pocket." 6 months after everything happened, Adanna was invited to speak at nursing schools all over Nigeria. She would stand in front of hundreds of young nursing students and tell them Ngozi's story, Chioma's story, her own story. "You will face many challenges in this work," she would tell them, her voice strong and clear. "You will be tired. You will be underpaid. People will try to bribe you. They will pressure you. They will threaten you. But remember this, your hands have power, real power, the power to save lives or take them. Choose carefully how you use that power." The students would clap until their hands were sore. Some would cry. All of them would remember. One day, Adanna was walking through the hospital when she saw a young nurse arguing with a rich man. The man was trying to pay her to change his mother's medication to something cheaper that would not work as well. He wanted to save money even though it might hurt his mother. The young nurse looked scared. Her hands were shaking, but then she saw Adanna watching her. The young nurse straightened her back. She looked the rich man in the eye and she said, clearly and firmly, "No, I will not do that. My hands must stay clean." The rich man got angry and left, but the young nurse smiled. She walked over to Adanna with her head held high. "Thank you," she said. "You taught me that it is okay to say no, that it is okay to stand up for what is right even when it is hard." Adanna hugged her. "You did not learn that from me," she said gently. "That courage was already inside you. You just needed to remember it was there." That is what Adanna did now. She helped other nurses remember their own courage. She helped them remember why they became healers in the first place. Not for money, not for power, but to help people, to save lives, to be the hands that heal instead of harm. If this story inspired you, share it with 5 friends right now. Let's spread this message of courage and integrity across Africa. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful true stories. Years later, Adanna's story was still being told. Mothers told it to their daughters. Teachers told their students. Pastors told it in church. The imams told it in the mosque. It became a modern folktale. A story of a woman who said no when everyone told her to say yes. A woman who trusted her grandmother's wisdom more than a rich man's money. A woman who understood that some things cannot be bought at any price. In villages across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and beyond, people knew about the nurse who refused. And when someone faced a hard choice, when someone was being pressured to do something wrong, people would say, "Remember Nurse Adanna. Remember the woman with clean hands." Chioma got married again, this time to a kind teacher who loved her truly. They had 3 children. She named her first daughter Adanna, after the nurse who saved her life. Ngozi's family finally got justice and were able to bury her properly with a beautiful ceremony. They invited Adanna and she came with flowers and tears. The 4 wives who had died before got justice too. Their graves were cleaned and marked properly. Their families could finally grieve knowing the truth, knowing it was not their fault, knowing they had been murdered. And Adanna, she still works at Lagos Memorial Hospital. She's now the head nurse. She trains young nurses and teaches them her grandmother's wisdom. She has a small apartment with a roof that does not leak. She has enough money to take care of her mother. She has peace in her heart. Sometimes, late at night when the hospital is quiet, she thinks about that day. The day she stood in the hallway and refused to treat Chioma. The day everyone called her heartless. The day that changed everything. She thinks about how scared she was, how her hands shook, how she wanted to just do what they said and avoid all the trouble. But then, she remembers Ngozi's frightened eyes. She remembers her grandmother's voice. She remembers the 4 women in their graves. And she knows she made the right choice, even when it was hard, even when everyone hated her, even when she lost everything. Because in the end, she kept the most important thing. She kept her integrity. She kept her clean hands. She kept her soul. That is what more than all the money in Chief Obiagu's wallet, more than all the fame from 40 million views, more than anything in this world. Comment amen if you believe in standing up for what is right. And if you watched all the way to the end, you are amazing. Subscribe so you never miss another powerful African story. Share this with everyone who needs to hear it. Let's change the world one story at a time. The end. But actually, it is not the end at all. It is the beginning of a new way of thinking, a new way of living, a new generation of healers who remember that their hands have power and that power must be used for good. This is the story of Nurse Adanna, the woman who said no, the woman with clean hands, the woman who proved that one person standing for truth is stronger than 1,000 people standing for lies. Remember her name, remember her courage, and when you face your own hard choice, remember what she taught us. Some hands are meant for healing. Keep them clean, always.